So, hey Scorpio, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for whenever you freaking find it in 2026. We're a little worried about what are we worried about? The Hierophant? You stepping up into a better role, a higher role, more responsibility, definitely has something to do with authenticity, kind of being a teacher, not necessarily preaching, but leading by example, stepping up as a figure, a role, whatever, people kind of look up to. And maybe a little scared of that. Nine of Swords is this blocking energy, overthinking energy. There's the Five of Swords and the Two of Cups. Two of Cups is making peace. Two of Cups is ending the conflict, especially if you combine it with the Five of Swords. Five of Swords is the dirty, dirty fight. And actually the Five of Swords is the ending of the dirty, dirty fight. And the Two of Cups, sometimes the Two of Cups gets romanticized in the terms of, that's friendship or, could be even business acquaintances and something like that. But for me, it's a little bit deeper. It's antagonistic tendencies coming together, male and female, water and fire aspects coming together. So polar opposites, right? So these opposites, it's like two sides of the coin, day and night. They kind of respect each other and have peace with each other, but they're antagonistic opposite to each other. So maybe, what does that mean, right? Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's a person at work, your boss at work, a co-worker, friendship. It could be in a love affair, So the fight is over and you're making peace. But you're making peace as the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is all about authenticity. It's all about integrity. You're not selling your soul, right? You're not, bowing down in order to appease the other side. No, you're standing there as an equal, eye level, right? And you're making peace like that. That's very important. Just uphold your principles, speak your truth, even if your voice is shaking. And then you're just ending the conflict. You're a little nervous about that Eight of Swords, but there's nothing that there's nothing at the horizon here. There's the Nine of Cups. There's the Queen of Cups. Nine of Cups, Queen of Cups. You need that peace, right? You need that ending of the conflict and just radical acceptance. Two of Cups is actually more like radical acceptance in my book, right? More than it is about friendship. You just radically accept that there are people in this world you might not like, right? You might never see a common ground or whatever, but it's like day and night, right? That's just like fire and water. They rarely come together, right? But they respect each other, and they are two opposing forces in this world. And to make it round, to make it balanced, you need the day as you need the light, right? And you need the day as you need the night, right? So fire and water come together. And as I said, whether it's a family member, whether it's a spouse, whether it's in a relationship, maybe you ended the relationship, or maybe you ended a chapter in your relationship, it's just over. And it makes place and room for something so much better. So you can use all of these energies that you have been using to worry, to block yourself, to strategize, to, swords energy connected to the Eight of Swords, Five of Swords. It's a very dark energy, right? You're using your intellect to strategize, to anticipate, to, worry about what is going to happen. If you make peace with that, making peace with something that is completely antagonistic doesn't mean that you become friends, right? It just means that you accept the other side for what it is, and you accept that you cannot change the other person. That's very important. And then you just treat yourself with respect, but preferably from a distance, right? And then that's your mastership, right? That's your spiritual mastership, to be grown up enough to realize, okay, there are people, I just don't like them. They're not like me. They're completely ticked differently, right? Maybe it's more heart and brain thing, right? Some people are more thinking with their brain. Others are more feeling with their heart, right? So female, male, fire, water, brain, heart, these polar opposites, right? They need to come together. Whether it's something within ourselves, could also be, right? That's an aspect of ourselves that we have to make peace with. But as soon as you make peace with it, without surrendering, right? Without giving up your own unique position on your own way of being. Fire is still fire, even if it makes peace with water, right? And vice versa. And you need that peace to make better choices, right? To focus all of your energy onto what you want to create. There's joyful creation showing up again and again in 2026 in all the freaking readings. 9 of Cups is showing up all the time. The Queen of Cups is showing up. The Hierophant, the Empress shows up all the freaking time. Okay, so make peace to focus your energy on something that is more fulfilling and worthy for yourself in your life. Let's just take 2 more. We got 6, then we got 8. Yeah, and you're waking up from this. There's the Hanged Man. And this realization, basically, that making peace is the way to go. Trust your intuition on this. I'm going to place this. So the conflict was basically capturing all of your energy, right? Could that be? Is there something that you're constantly entertaining, some windmill in your life that you're constantly fighting, right? Something that you cannot change, and you constantly fight that windmill, right? Whether it's in your family or in your head, maybe just, right? And you constantly argue or battle with that thing that you cannot change. So if you do that, that's a waste of energy. That's a waste of, dark imaginings, all that jazz. It's a waste of energy and a waste of focus and a waste of creative power. So this peace here with the 2 of Cups is accompanied with the 2 of Swords. And this 2 of Swords is pretty much a peace out of sheer wisdom, right? There are certain aspects that we just cannot change. There are certain people that we just can't change. So forever war is not a good thing, so we don't want to live like that, so we make peace with it. That doesn't mean that you need to like it, but it means that you're smart enough and wise enough to do it anyway. Why? Because you want to free all of this wonderful energy to do what you actually love to do. That's the wisdom of the Hierophant. And how do you come about that wisdom, right? How does the Hanged Man has his enlightenment, right? You're the Hanged Man whenever you are entertaining the conflict. You're the Hanged Man whenever you're fighting your windmills, then you're wasting your energy. And the way to snap out of it, it is a daily practice, really, right? If you have to make peace with something that you don't like, actually, it's a daily practice to not go back into that fighting mode, right? And whenever you are tempted to go back into it, and fighting things that you cannot change is always a waste of time, and it's counterproductive because you're just in a circle wasting your energy, not creating anything but dark imaginings, right? And lower frequency energy. You owe it to yourself to work on that instead. There's something that you love to do. There's something that you're really good at. And it feels good while you're doing it. And you can free all up You can free that energy from that conflict and focus it directed into that 9 of Cups, whatever you love to do. Super important. And whenever you're tempted, I don't think I finished that, but whenever you're tempted to go back into the conflict, be wise enough, 2 of Swords, to reconnect with your own emotions, right? How do I actually feel when I go back into conflict mode? Does that feel good, right? Am I happy while I'm doing that? Am I enjoying myself? No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. 8 of Swords, you don't. So, and you can't win. It's just, fire and water. It's useless to do that. So you do meditation and breath work. That's what I always recommend. 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out, 7 seconds in, 14 seconds out. The out breath 2 times that of the in breath whenever you are feeling it, right? Whenever you think, yeah, you feel it, and then you think, and if it's just a fleeting thought, your passing thought, so to speak, then let it run, let it go. Okay. But if it's repeating itself, if it kind of ruins your day sometimes, right, then you snap out of it. And the way you snap out of it is to do breath work. And if you have good people you work with wherever it is that you're working, you can even do that at work. If it's just 10 minutes or whatever, I think the time should be there if you have decent people around you. To do breath work, or certainly when you're at home, right? Release negativity. 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out. Do that for 10 minutes, do it for half an hour, right? And you're releasing negativity, and then you combine that with meditation. That's your 2 of Swords. Then you made peace within yourself. You dealt with your negative frequency. You did not allow your negative frequency to circle around in your thoughts, right? So you release that negativity and grounded yourself, and through meditation you cultivated inner peace and mindfulness, right? So you can realize whenever you snap back into fighting mode, right? Make peace, that's the big thing, that's the wise thing to do. End it. There's the World card. There's the 2 of Wands, and there she is, the Empress. You got everything you need to arrive here. Where do you arrive, by the way? That's a very comfortable place to arrive by. That's the Hierophant. Shows up all the freaking time in all these readings for 2026 that I'm doing. The Empress, mentioned her before as well. Very, very powerful couple. Very, very powerful in the terms of inner mastership. So you have to master yourself to make peace with something that you don't like, but you cannot change it. And you realize, okay, I cannot change it. So it's wise to make peace with it and just, be done with it and do your own thing, right? And that's closure, and at the same time it's opening you up for something so much better. And look at that, that's something you love to do, and that's something your heart is connected to, so you really love to do it, and you love to do it in a mastership, right? It's beautiful. Empress, Hierophant, and then 9 of Cups, one of my most beloved cards here. So I think you're already doing what you love to do, but the big advice here is to give it more attention and to focus less attention on the drama, on the conflict, on the narcissist, on the antagonist, on the toxic person in your life, on all these and all that. And, you can watch the news 24/7 now. Don't. get out your notebooks, write something down, draw something, go for a walk, yoga, fitness, breathwork, meditation, right? But not fighting windmills. There's the King of Cups here, right? Act accordingly. There's the Ace of Cups, and you're doing this with the Ace of Cups and the King of Cups. You're not doing this for the other side, right? You're not doing this for, right? You're doing this for yourself. You're doing this in respect and in honor for your own frequency, for your own consciousness, for yourself, basically, because you owe it to yourself to focus your attention on all these gifts and all these talents, right, that you got. Lots of cups energy, and again, all four queens rolled into one with the Empress. The Hierophant is the wise man, is the sage, right, who's beginning to teach in the sense that he's not just preaching, but he's doing, and not performing, but leading by example, basically. So believe your own gospel and act accordingly. So you know peace is important, and just don't entertain any more fights. There's the Strengths card here, beautiful, fits perfectly. This lady could fight the lion. Guess what? If she fights the lion, the lady loses. But the lady can also tame the lion and, you know, in a way make peace with it. You know, she's not the boss of the lion. The lion is still the lion. But, you know, if she tames the lion, they kind of become peaceful with each other, right? And nobody eats the other person, right? So the Strengths card, not fighting, not going back into conflict. Just one more destiny. This is about to happen, and it's important that it's going to happen. And we're kind of all holding our breaths that it is happen on a global stage. And Six of Cups is here as well, bottom of the deck. Let's just leave the conflict behind. Six of Cups is here. Remember joy, right? We all deserve a happier, more beautiful time of peace, of stability, of prosperity, where we finally can be human, where we finally can be us again, right? And just shine in that, right? You know, I don't know. It's just, you know, a rose is not a tulip, but a rose does not need to be at war with the tulip, right? If you know what I mean. These are just two different flowers, and they can just perfectly coexist. They have complete different habitats and complete different biology, basically, right? But they're in their own right two different flowers, but there's no better or worse, it's just different, right? So can we just, on a basis like that, right? For pure reason, for pure wisdom, and for pure, there's self-love aspect here, right? You're not doing this for the other person. Primarily, you're doing it to free your own frequency and energy, to do what is important for you. And again, there's this teaching aspect, right? So if you do it, you make it easier for others to behave the same way. Cultivate silence. Is there some noise in your home that you can get rid of? Get rid of it, right? And cultivate peace within yourself through meditation and breath work. Then another quote here. I think this showed up in the Sagittarius reading as well, so I'm going to repeat it as well because it shows up again. Say it out loud. In regards to that conflict, whatever it was, whoever it was, however long it was going on, I'm grateful that my suffering did not turn me into one of those who inflicted it upon me. So you owe it to yourself not to keep entertaining that conflict, because as Nietzsche once said, You know, if you lurk into the abyss long enough, if you fight monsters long enough, you must be very careful that you're not ending up becoming a monster yourself, or therefore falling into the abyss, right? So, you know, and that is very real danger. If people fighting too long, they become pretty much the fight themselves, or the fight itself. You don't want that. So you got better things to do. Frequency is the new currency. Yeah, keep your frequency up. Imagine your consciousness as a spectrum, basically, and you got the lowest and deepest frequency is hatred, right? And then you got fear, guilt, shame, pretty low, pretty dense frequencies, right? And then you got self-love and inner peace and, you know, creativity and self-expression and joy and all that, happiness, wonderful, right? These are very high frequencies, very open, very ethereal, angelic frequencies, actually. So the deeper you go into guilt, fear, shame, into anger and frustration and hatred, the deeper and darker it gets. And when you're fighting someone, you contract. You know, it's not just that you're harming the other person. If you're fighting, you're harming yourself in the process involuntarily. It's just happening. So if you could just end that, you could free all of that frequency, all of that energy that you're putting into the conflict, and you free it to do something else, and you free it to rise, whatever your frequency, right? And then you arrive in joyful creation, in actually arriving in the moment. You're no longer constantly operating in causality, 3D consciousness. You're arriving in a meditative state, which is spatial awareness, but the time factor kind of gets forgotten. You know, the eternal now, that's where it's happening, right? That's where the good frequencies are. But more about that in other readings. And this is all I got for you. And one more Blue Angel Oracle card, Synchrotron. Synchrotron is about, I have to look it up for more, infinite possibilities. Yes, sync with your heart. This marriage between the heart and the brain, right? The intellect and the emotional body. Make peace with it and use both aspects for your creative expression, right? That's all I got, right? And I hope it resonates with you. If it does, share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. Check out the summer reading, check out the yearly reading. I'm going to link one of these here at the end, and hopefully see you next time. Now, goodbye, my friend. Ciao.